I need to start? Is this a microphone? Is that how this works?
That's how this works.
Music's already played?
That's right.
Holy cow. Off to a great start, huh?
It's a Friday.
Hey, it is Friday. We got a big show lined up for you, honestly, and I'm looking forward to it. We will start with picks, and this time, thanks to Ken Palm and the subscription that our friend Brian Takis has, we have picks for you. I've decided officially to end with my Super Bowl victory. I think I'm like 11 games ahead of you.
Yeah, something like that.
There's no way that you can ever recover.
Yeah, it would take a lot, that's for sure.
So we'll just start a new contest now.
Okay.
Through basketball, separate NBA, and we'll have a separate golf.
Okay.
That'll come up, just so you know. So we got our pick six. That'll come your way in a minute. How about Canada? You know, every player on both the United States and the Canadian teams, and this was after Connor McDavid in the second overtime, came up with a beauty, and Canada wins the Four Nations Cup, the first one ever, and I know there will be more. Everyone on both sides basically said, this is great for the sport. If you watched the game last night, you would know just how spectacular it was. This is the All-Star game. This is what they replaced the All-Star game with. So they took the break. These guys playing their hearts off for their country. It was magnificent, and I'm certain they'll do this on a regular basis. I can't wait to see what kind of numbers they had.
Yeah.
But I would say spectacular.
It's got to be great, yeah.
Every one of them said, this is great for the game. Any kid who watched this now, they're going to go, I want to be part of that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Quality of hockey, unreal.
It was incredible. And you mentioned, I mean, so one of the bigger reasons they decided to do this year is because next year we have the Olympics, 2026 Olympics.
Right.
It'll be the first time since, I believe, 2014 they're going to let NHLers participate in the Olympics. So that will be next year. Instead of an all-star weekend, we'll have a break for the Olympics. So we'll have international hockey as well then. And then after that, the World Championship of Hockey is returning for the first time since like 2016. So we'll have international hockey as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
If you've never been to a hockey game and you just watched it on TV,
oh man,
you got to go because
right.
It's the toughest sport to televise.
Yeah.
The puck is hard to see. Remember Fox tried years ago to have this blue trail?
That's right.
It did not
Didn't
work.
Didn't work at all.
But I'm happy for hockey. I think it's on the move up. There was interesting discussion, as always, with Greg and Eli a little earlier. And they were talking about ESPN and Major League Baseball and MLB opting, I think it's 3 years left on the deal. And they're going, no, we don't think you've given us enough coverage or enough money or the combination of the two. It dawned on me, and remind me, Bryant, because you know how I can forget these little things.
Yeah.
To discuss this with Joe Dank next Wednesday. But it dawned on me, for years, ever since Mickey Mantle signed the first $100,000 deal, I've always said to myself, there's going to come a time where they're going to hit a ceiling. Right? Well, we haven't had that ceiling at all, particularly player salaries. But I feel like the TV deal that the NBA signed, considering the ratings and their even lack of showing you what the ratings were for the All-Star game, says to me that all of these players in this new deal overpaid for the NBA. I believe that. I think they overpaid. And I'm not belittling the NBA product. I watch it every night. I watched the Grizz last night. I'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
But I think they overpaid. So here, baseball is after more money somehow, some way. But maybe if less, I'm guessing the replacement, and they must have this in their mind. The replacement's going to be Turner TBS combination. That'll be where the Sunday night game goes. Maybe more stuff on FS1 for Fox. Fox will, I'm sure, still continue to be the major player for postseason, things of that nature. The All-Star game will probably move there, or could go to Turner or TBS. Turner is without the NBA after next year, so this would fill that void very nicely. But maybe we've hit a ceiling now. on just how much television will pay the bills. And I'm not saying it's going to go down significantly, but I'm saying to you, the NBA and Major League Baseball, maybe this is the ceiling. Maybe we've gone to the point now in today's economics where this is it. This is all that makes sense. We, at least for a while, cannot go any higher.
I mean, it's a good point. I think, we've always asked that with a lot of things that have a money sign beside it. There's got to be a ceiling at some point, with salary caps and with TV contracts and everything. And I mean, you might be right. I mean, it feels like this is a really weird spot for Major League Baseball because, unlike, and I don't think anybody thought NBA was going to get the deal they got, and like you said, maybe an overpay. I just don't see Major League Baseball going out there and getting a major broadcasting deal for these 3 years that they're opting out of.
Well, somebody texted, and it makes sense to me, Apple and Amazon.
Well, they already have Apple.
Could be the streaming partners.
They could.
And that will fill in. I know there are a lot of people out there. Like, who doesn't have Amazon? Amazon, you get Amazon, so you get the free delivery.
That's right. Yeah, everyone has Amazon.
So everybody's got Amazon. And young people, they have cut the cord already.
That's right.
You're the perfect generation. Do you have Comcast?
I do not.
See?
Yeah.
Neither of my kids do.
Right.
None of my kids have a traditional cable system that they get their stuff on. Yeah. They pay literally, I mean, I hate to say this, but I was on the phone with Comcast yesterday, got my bill. It keeps going up. In the last year, my bill, without getting any extra services, has gone up $80. So listen to this. This is crazy. So I get somebody on the phone finally. Okay, we're going to work with you.
Right.
We're going to take $15 a month off, and we're going to increase your speed on your internet.
Love that.
Going, okay. Now you got to do this. It's a 2-year deal, and you can't really understand the person because he's coming from somewhere in India. And I'm going, let me clarify this. Then he sends me this link, and I'm going through it like I'm agreeing to this stuff. Yeah. Then it won't go through, and he goes, oh, you're stuck in your contract to June.
No.
So listen to this. They can't give me $15 off. They can't improve my thing. And I'm trying to commit to them for 2 years. It's the most step. Anyway, I'm very much considering becoming young at heart and cutting the thing. And, the only thing I don't like about streaming, and I like streaming, is you can't change channels quickly.
Right.
You're stuck with what you got, and you can't get out of it. If you do, it's a pain in the neck. But anyway, it does seem we have hit a significant area when it comes to television rights fees and everything else. Maybe we have been to the highest point. We'll see. Grizz, I'm not sure I've ever seen a 13-point lead disappear as quickly as the Grizz did yesterday. Now, a 50-point second quarter by Indy? Like, they did not miss. They would not miss threes. How many threes? They had 17 threes in this game.
That's right, yeah.
I don't know how many they got in the second quarter, but it was a bunch. And the Grizzlies, they just let Halliburton's a heck of a player.
A great player.
He had 22. The guy that really, I think, dictated everything in this game, both sides, was Miles Turner. He had 17 and 10, so he had a double-double, but he had 7 blocks in the game. Yeah. And Pete Pranica made a great point on the postgame show when he basically said it wasn't just the blocks. It was the intimidation factor because you're looking around. How many shots were missed for fear that Miles Turner was going to somehow block the ball? So it was tough. It was a tough day for the Grizz. Bain was a bright spot, 23 and 5. He had 7 assists. Triple J, 18 and 7. He had a couple of blocks. Edie, 5 and 11. Nothing spectacular offensively, but he does throw his body around. Wells had 17, and he defended decently. When you give up 50 points in the second quarter, nobody's defending, let's be honest. And then Ja. This was a tough day for Ja. We'll probably talk about this a little bit with our friend Andy Schiffman, our agent. We got lots to talk with him about. But Ja, tough night shooting. He was 4 of 15 0 for 3 from three-point land. He ended up with 12 points, no rebounds, which I don't understand because I'm almost certain I saw him get one rebound, and 6 assists, but 5 turnovers. Bad night for Ja after a bad day for Ja because, and I'd never heard this until yesterday, to be honest with you. Maybe I just missed this story, Bryant, but I did not know in all of these celebrity athlete burglaries by this Chilean ring. I think there was a ring of 7 people. I mean, they were pretty brilliant. Because let's face it, I wouldn't even know how to find John Morant's house. It's out in East somewhere, right? It's and these people, they don't know the area. They used to have GPS, right?
Sure.
But sometime between 7 o'clock and 1 o'clock in the morning, they stole $1 million. First of all, I never knew a Grizz person was involved. I never knew it was $1 million. And finally, we find out it's Ja. And, like, not that I have anywhere close to $1 million to hang around with, but how about in your house, you've got $1 million worth of jewelry, watches, and luxury bags. $1 million just hanging out.
Yep.
Are they in a safe? How did they do this? It's pretty incredible. But what a tough 24 hours because it was identified Ja was the guy. He lost $1 million and then he had a bad night. Not a good look at all. But the Grizzlies, here's the good thing about the NBA. First of all he's got to do is play like 2-3 games. He gets that $1 million back, and I'm sure he's insured. And they play tonight. They're at Orlando. They're actually 3.5-point favorites. We're going to go with that in a second. They've now lost 2 in a row. You go back to right before the All-Star break in L.A., where they lost to the Clippers. They're now 36-19 and clinging to a half a game lead. I think it's still a half a game lead on Denver. Might be tied. Is it tied now?
Yeah, I think Denver won last night, so I think that changes
so Denver's
things.
second and the Grizz are now third.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot to check on that. So Denver was a winner.
Yeah, because they played Charlotte last night.
Well, Charlotte, the night before,
they
were a winner over the Lakers.
Yeah, after I saw them beat the Lakers, tough to bet on them 2 nights in a row to get wins.
I got you. All right, let's make some picks, and then I got a couple other tidbits that I find are very, very interesting. The Grizzlies are in Orlando. The Grizzlies are actually giving away 3.5. I can't see the Grizzlies losing 3 games in a row, not to this Orlando team. So, Bryant, I'm going to go Grizz. I'm going to take the road favorites.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Grizzlies as well. I think you look at this 3-game stretch to come out of All-Star break, a loss last night, Sunday night you have to play a really tough Cleveland Cavaliers team, and so I think the Grizzlies need to avoid 3 losses in a row. I think the Cavs are going to be really tough on Sunday, and so I think they're going to want to do everything they can to beat this Orlando team.
So we're in agreement there. The Knicks are in Cleveland. The Knicks are a good team. They can score so much. I don't think they're going to win this game. I think Cleveland's going to win the game, but did you see how much this line is?
Yeah, it's
the
a big
line
number.
is 8.5. I full confession, I haven't looked to see what the margin of victory on average is, particularly on the road for the New York Knicks. But it seems to me they're always competitive because they can score like 50 and a quarter like Indy can. They can score. I don't think the Cavs are going to beat them by 8.5. I think they're going to win, but not by 8.5. So give me the Knicks.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Knicks as well. That's a big reason I chose this game because of that 8.5 points. I mean, that is a huge number between 2 top teams in the Eastern Conference. I think this is going to be a fun game. It's going to be an ESPN game tonight. I'll take the Knicks to keep it close. Michigan
State is at Michigan. Big game in the NCAA. I don't know why. I'm just not a total believer in Michigan. I know they have several nice pieces. Dusty May is a heck of a coach. No doubt about that. Golden's having a decent year for them, the big guy. But Michigan State's the real deal. They've been what have they lost? They lost that one game when he could have surpassed, and they went on the road to Indy and got it. This is in the state of Michigan where Izzo always tries to make a point. I think Michigan State wins the game.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan State has been playing really well as of late. So has Michigan. I mean, two really good teams.
And Michigan's 2.5-point favorite. I forgot to mention.
Yeah, that's right. And Michigan right now riding a 6-game winning streak, so they're rolling right now. I'll take Michigan at home. I think this is going to be a really fun game. I think this could end up being a 3-point game. So I'll take Michigan.
All right, we finally differ. Tennessee goes to Texas A&M. Aggies favored by 1.5 points. The Aggies, they got Wade Taylor back.
Mm-hmm.
They're at home.
Yep.
Tennessee so up and down. If Chaz Lanier doesn't score a bunch, or if Ziegler is not 100%, it's tough for Tennessee on the road. I'm going to go with A&M in College Station.
I'm going to go the other side. I'm going to go with Tennessee in this one. I think, this is going to be a fun game. Two top 5 defenses in the country. But I just do not trust this Alabama team when it comes to making shots.
A&M, you mean?
Yeah, A&M. I don't trust A&M to make shots. And when you get into one of these games that's going to be defensive, I'm just going to take the team that I trust to make more shots, and that's Tennessee. So I'll take Tennessee.
All right, so we differ on 2 now. Kentucky is at Alabama. The Crimson Tide have lost 2 in a row. And this would be a big statement win for Kentucky because they have not played that great of late. Alabama's not losing 3 in a row. They got too much talent on that team. It's in Tuscaloosa. They're giving away 3.5. I'll take my chance on that. I'll take the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, I'll take Bama as well. Kentucky still without 3 of their starting guards. I don't know if any of those guys will be able to go tomorrow, but that has really held them back. So I will take Alabama to get back to their winning ways, and I'll take them to cover this number.
Missouri is at Arkansas. The Tigers are 3.5-point favorites over the woebegone Calipari Hogs. They're due. Every time they're totally against the wall, they're due. They are getting 3.5 points here. I think they're going to win by 5.
Wow.
I like Arkansas straight up because every time everybody doubts, somehow he pulls it out.
That's a good point. It was a great game earlier this week. I don't know if we talked about it, but took Auburn down to the wire and almost pulled off that upset. I'm gonna go with Missouri here. I think Dennis Gates has his boys rolling. Really fun story after not winning a single SEC game last year. Has them rolling right now. I will take Missouri to pick up a win.
All right. So you and I differ on 3 of these games: Michigan, Tennessee, and Missouri.
That's right.
All right. We're off, and we are running with our new Pick 6 every Friday. 2 other quick notes. Just see the Major League Baseball's Yankees.
How about that?
Have changed their mind. 50 years ago, George Steinbrenner said, "No facial hair. I'll let you have a short mustache." That's it. And even great players who came, of course, they were paid more money than anybody on any other team could get. They shaved their beards in order to play. This time, and I think it's because they've acquired that new reliever that has a scruffiness that without it looks like he's 13 years old. Hank Steinbrenner said he talked to several players and former players and came to the decision that it was the appropriate time to change that policy. So going forward, you can now be a player on the Yankees and have a beard. After 50 years, Hank Steinbrenner overturns his dad's policy on hair, facial hair, and grooming and allows you to get the scruffy look. How about that? And final little note. Cliff Frisbee, longtime pro at Galloway for years. Now he's been gone from Galloway for years, but did such a great job at Galloway. Then kind of stepped away from that, was in the real world. And while he was in the real business world, he became the coach of the MUS golf team. All Cliff Frisbee did in 16 years was win 4 state titles, 9 West Regional titles, 3 Commercial Appeal Coach of the Year awards. He's decided to go full retirement this time. I'll see how long that lasts. But, Cliff, we wish you the best, and I know that I will see you on some golf course around town. Congratulations, Cliff Frisbee, on his retirement. We will take a quick timeout here. I'm in the Family Leisure Studios. Spring, yes, it's around the corner. It's going to be in the upper 50s on Monday. How about that? Upper 50s. We're going to get near 70 by midweek. So spring is right around the corner, and that 2024 pricing is still on with all above pools and patio furniture at Family Leisure, where the preseason pool and patio sale is in full swing. We're talking up to 70% off on patio furniture to make room for the incoming spring inventory. This is all state-of-the-art stuff. And if you say, Wolo, Bryant, Sports 56, you get $250 gift card with the purchase of the pool, the spa, or the patio furniture. So dig this, 70% off on that furniture. Mention us, and $250 more? You can't beat that. You just got to get to I-40 and Wooden Road and tell them we sent you at Family Leisure. We take the quick time out. When we come back, we head to Chicago. Our agent from Priority Sports, there's a big name that just got a big penalty there. We'll talk about Bobby Portis with Andy Schiffman, our agent, in just a minute.
Skechers put the S in comfort?
Yes, comfort you have to feel to believe. Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Let me try. Okay, I'm just stepping in and... Oh, wow. Skechers put the S in comfort.
We tell you, find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
It's your time to upgrade into a new ride from Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike. 2025 Jetta S, buy it now, $20,499. 2024 Taos SE, $249 a month or $28,616. More front rear headroom and longer warranty than Crosstrek or CX-30. 2024 Tiguan S, more cargo space, torque, and warranty than Escape or RAV4. Only $279 a month. Plus all 2024 Atlas SE LP conditions, $5,000 off MSRP. So get to Gossett Volkswagen today, 1875 Covington Pike, online, GossettVWMemphis.com. And remember, no reasonable offer will be refused. Gossett's where we're charging forward and charging less every day. If you want it, we got it at Gossett Volkswagen.
7,500 miles, 3,100 down. Taos RMO 56,983, MSRP 31,939. Tiguan RM 144,331, MSRP 31,363. Jetta SMO 45,444. Atlas 3,500 bonus customer cash 1,500. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895 excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With two big airlines and the largest patch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
All we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio Golden.
Are you looking for a point guard? Who isn't? I'm talking about looking for a point guard for selling your home. Well, I got the guy, you know. It's the guy who can't play golf. It's Sheldon Rosengarten. That's what you really need, is a guy who's spending all his time not trying to play basketball, not trying to become a golfer. It's Sheldon. They call him Mr. Three Putt because he has no time to practice because he's working advising clients, trying to get the most out of their homes when they sell. He's got this strategic marketing program. Boy, it's successful because it involves the 3 Ps: preparation, presentation, proper pricing. Really the 4 Ps, if you think about it. He advises you how to prepare your home to overcome objections from today's very picky buyers. And by researching the market around your home, he's going to be able to guide you as to pricing, which, of course, is strictly your choice, but he'll show you your different options that you may have, and then you'll figure out the best way to go. So if you know somebody who's thinking of selling, Sheldon always advises, talk to 2 or 3 real estate brokers. Just make sure he's one of them. No brag, just fact, he gets the job done. That's why they call him Sheldon. You can reach him at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. That's memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546. Let's head to Chicago and our agent, Andy Schiffman, who works for Priority Sports, and there were headlines this week for your organization. Not always do you want headlines, but you got them. But I know you were kind enough to say that you could discuss this a bit. Bobby Portis, you're a terrific player. 25-game suspension for using an anti-inflammatory for I think it was an elbow injury he had, which he inadvertently confused, had the wrong one, and got bagged for 25 games. Seems to me, when I look at this punishment, it's a bit more penal than I thought it should be. Give us your take, or what is the Priority Sports answer to what the league did? Good morning.
Well, good morning, Dave. And look, you're exactly right. It is a very frustrating situation because this is an honest mistake. I think from the outside looking in, when NBA fans see Shams tweet that Bobby Portis is suspended for 25 games due to taking an illegal substance, the lazy fans out there just say, oh, it's drug use. And that's not the case. And you hit the nail on the head, right? It is an honest mistake. Bobby was in Milwaukee around Thanksgiving, needed some medication called Toradol for some elbow inflammation, so we could play that night. Couldn't get a hold of a doctor to get a refill, and an assistant of his who was nearby actually was also taking a similar medication for inflammation. He thought it was the same medication. It happened to be tramadol, and so that individual gave Bobby a tramadol pill. Bobby thought it was the same thing, and it just so happened that same day he gets drug tested. The NBA does random drug testing. This medication stays in your system for about 6 hours. So
oh my gosh.
The stars happen to align.
Oh my, that is the unluckiest thing in the history of the game right there.
Absolutely. And then in the fall he tests positive for the tramadol, which is a prohibited substance in the NBA, thinking it was Toradol. And look, obviously he shouldn't have done it. It was a mistake. But the NBA is so extremely strict on these things, and it's just strict liability. That's all it is. And so there's really no wiggle room around the suspension. It's very disappointing. I do think that there should have been some contextual circumstances taken into account. The fact that Bobby has never done anything along these lines.
Can you appeal
has always been a great ambassador. You can appeal it. I don't necessarily know it would change anything. So it's very disappointing, and Bobby's prepared to accept the suspension and move on. The Bucks definitely don't look at him any other way other than just a valuable part of the team. Does it hurt them? Absolutely. He provides great depth off the bench. He's popped into the starting lineup when they've had some other guys down during the season. And every year he's a candidate for Sixth Man of the Year in the NBA. So it definitely hurts. Look, it hurts his season, hurts the Bucks, but we just got to move past it.
Do you happen to know, I know you're not a pharmacist, but what is the difference between tramadol and Toradol? Do you have any idea?
I do not. Dr. Stephen Schiffman would probably know that answer,
I bet he
but
would.
I do not.
I bet your dad,
Let's get him on.
Your dad would know. Get him on the phone. Text us. Let us know. All right, I know he listens, so text your son some sort of explanation. All right, let us move on. The Josh story. All right, so Zach Kleiman has to come out because apparently there was a story in the Ringer where other general managers were speculating, according to Zach Kleiman, that Ja could be on the market this summer if the Grizzlies' postseason is not that successful. Zach put that fire out immediately by saying Ja is untouchable. I don't believe anybody's untouchable. I think Luka Doncic proved that. But I understand why Zach Kleiman made that comment. He wants the Morant family to go, we got your back, we love you. We don't want you to go anywhere. He's got to make that comment, but there's no way. In my mind, there is no way if SGA was available, if Anthony Edwards was available, if Jason Tatum was available in a deal and it bettered your team, come on now. Everybody's going to make that deal, aren't they?
Yeah, I do think so, and you're exactly right. There's a rumor. This is all predicated and originating from the Luka trade, obviously. So it's not really revelating for me to hear another NBA executive say, oh, well, if the Grizzlies don't progress far in the playoffs, then Ja could be on the trade block. You can say that about anyone in the NBA outside of Bradley Beal, who has a no-trade clause, who's our client, right? So that's not anything surprising, and I think it's just a reporter out there trying to throw something against the wall and hope it sticks and to pick up some traction off of this Luka-Anthony Davis trade we saw before the trade deadline. And Zach came out and said exactly what you would expect him to say. So also, on the flip side, that's not really revealing. Of course he's going to say that. But the reality is every single NBA executive, GM, president, they are always canvassing the NBA in different ways and evaluating different ways that they can improve their team. So for sure, to your point, if you happen to move Ja and you know you can do so and get a better package of players or a better player coming back, and I think better player is also a little bit subjective, but I think there's also been enough of a sample size among elite players in this league to know what you can get and how that's going to impact your team. I think you would be pretty naive to just sit there and say, well, we would never move Ja. Not necessarily, that really hasn't worked out tenfold yet for the Lakers in getting Luka, but it's only been a few games. He's coming off the injury, so it's TBD. But they also set themselves up for a lot of future success now when LeBron ever does retire at age 57, to have Luka there for a number of years. So, look, I don't really read too much into the story. I would not put it past anybody in this league to trade their star if they really feel they can get better. And look, I think for a long time, in the infant stages of the Memphis Grizzlies, and you know this, no one thought they would ever move Pau Gasol because we've never really had the NBA in Memphis and didn't quite understand the magnitude of trades and just kind of looked through this bubble that we were in of, okay, well, we have Pau. He's our best player. Let's continue to build around him. And then at some point, you just continue to repeat yourself every season, right? You get stagnant. The team doesn't really progress. And so that's when you do have to shake things up. And I'm not saying the Grizzlies are going to have to, explode the team like you've seen some of these teams do. But if there is an opportunity at some point while Ja's under contract for them to go out and get one of those guys you mentioned, I mean, there's probably the number of players in the league that you can go out there and trade Ja for that it would make sense for. You could probably count on one hand, maybe two.
Right.
And it doesn't really mean those teams are going to be apt to move those guys.
Right, exactly.
But you always have to kind of have an open mind.
In retrospect, you bring up Pau, and it dawned on me, that was a win-win for the Lakers and for the Grizz, because with the Lakers, Pau got rings with Kobe, and for the Grizzlies, the back end of that deal included Marc Gasol, and that ushered in the grit and grind era, which has been the best era by far for this Grizzlies team while they have been in Memphis. Really, I mean, if you look at what they did in Vancouver, it's the greatest era of any Grizzlies time period. So that was a win-win for both teams.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I don't really have a lot to say to that piece, but you're exactly right. And I think you've seen other teams do that over the years in the course of NBA history, and it definitely can be a shock to fans. But it's a necessary step. Otherwise, if you're not progressing with the core that you have, what are you doing? And I think that's where also on the flip side, right, teams get themselves in trouble by just kind of standing pat and sending the message that they're happy with their core, yet at the same time you're not really getting better. And then every year you have these up-and-coming teams that over the course of the last 2, 3, 4 seasons have only been getting better. But 5 years ago, they were at the bottom of the standings in the NBA. You've seen that with the Thunder, where they were after they lost Durant and Westbrook and Harden years ago, and then they went into rebuild mode, and look at what they're doing now.
Right.
To an extent, you saw that with Cleveland. You know, did you ever think Utah was going to trade Donovan Mitchell? You saw that with Denver and some of the pieces they've added. You're seeing that now with Detroit, with Orlando. And so it's very cyclical, what we're talking about, and it doesn't happen overnight. But look, I'd hate to say it, if the Grizzlies end up getting bounced again in the first round and they don't really make a whole lot of moves over the summer, look, I think they're going to focus on renegotiating and paying Jaren Jackson more money. He could be eligible for the Supermax contract if he gets Defensive Player of the Year.
Right, he could get $350. Or
Absolutely.
All-NBA, and with Wembanyama out now, that opens the door for that to be a real possibility.
Absolutely. I think they're going to work on an extension with Santi Aldama. You obviously are already paying Ja. You're paying Bane. You've got younger players that are up and coming that you can probably work on an extension for in the next few years if you want to keep them. And so I don't also believe that the Grizzlies will be in this situation where they want to spend money freely year in and year out and be one of these second apron teams where you are really handcuffed in what you can do in the open market in terms of signings and trades, because that really limits you. Look, if you're winning championships every year, great, but they're not at that point. So I do think they're going to have decisions to make, and I would not rule out the possibility of making some major trades to find a way to save money. Look, you saw that this year with Marcus Smart. I think a lot of people saw that happen at the deadline and saw the Grizzlies, we talked about it, really didn't get much back other than some players that they ended up waiving to create some roster spots.
That was Zach Kleiman going, I blew this. This was a bad trade. We shouldn't have done it. They lost several first-round picks.
But they also saved over $20 million and keeping them out of the apron territory, which is beneficial.
That is true.
And now it's going to pay off to extend, really renegotiate Jaren's contract. So, again, you have to kind of look 3, 4, 5 moves ahead for the benefit of some of these deals.
You mentioned the Luka AD trade, which was the monstrous trade of the deadline. Maybe that'll end up being a win-win for both. We'll have to wait and see on that.
Mm-hmm.
But part of that deal was the Lakers then had to get a center to replace Anthony Davis. They go to Charlotte. They get Mark Williams. They send Dalton Knecht, their first-round pick from the University of Tennessee, to Charlotte. Then they examine Mark Williams and say, oh, no, he's damaged goods. Now, the doctors around the league, neutral doctors and the Charlotte doctor says, that's malarkey. He's fine. In fact, he's so fine, he played against the Lakers last night and went 10 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists in 29 minutes. So he apparently is okay. How do the Lakers get away with rescinding that deal? That seems awfully odd to me.
It does, and the difficult part about this is, for whatever reason, their doctor did not pass them on the physical, and then the NBA rescinds the trade, and then after the fact, all these other doctors come out, and the Hornets come out, and they stand on the table for his health and say, we would have passed him on the physical. So I don't necessarily know the nuances and intricacies of those conversations between the Lakers medical staff and Mark Williams and his agent and the league as well. It's a head scratcher for sure, because to your point, he did play. Maybe there's something going on that's an underlying issue that could be a red flag for his longevity in the NBA. I have seen that before, where a team just doesn't feel comfortable, even though the player is playing day in and day out. Long term, there's something that gives them a little bit of hesitancy or cause for concern to pass him on a physical. I'm not saying that is the case, but that could be one factor. So I just don't know, to be honest.
That just it looks like, well, the Lakers thought maybe we made a mistake on this and we're not going to pass him if everybody else says he can play, and then he proves it by going and playing against the Lakers.
I think it was a great move for the Lakers. We talked about it. I applauded it. I really like Mark Williams. I think he's extremely talented, great young big, does exactly what you want out of a center. So, look, they went from having Anthony Davis to getting Luka and potentially Mark Williams, and now they have no Mark Williams, and they just picked up Alex Len, who's a journeyman in the NBA, who may play bits and pieces here and there, but he's a nice player. He's no Mark Williams. So I don't know. It's a shame for the Lakers, because that was a nice piece for them to pair with Luka and LeBron.
All right, last thing. What are your players saying about the All-Star format? You look at what hockey has done now with this Four Nations Cup. Which is
awesome.
Awesome quality play, helping the sports. The numbers, the NBA is not releasing the TV numbers, which tells you they're not very good. What's the NBA got to do to fix this stuff with the All-Star game?
Go back to the original format. None of my players, half of them didn't even watch it. Couldn't really care much about it. I think that the Friday a little bit, and then for sure the Saturday night was the big draw. But even that, that just doesn't excite me anymore. You don't have the top elite level dunkers in the dunk contest. Great for Mac McClung. But again, I think it's all relative to who you're going up against and what they're doing. And you see these other kids coming out there, Andre Jackson and Castle, missing dunks. And I don't know, it's a lack of star power for one, and two, just the whole weekend. I think when you have a little bit of a down night and just not too much excitement coming out of Friday or Saturday, relatively speaking, then going into Sunday, and now there's this new format. Yes, it did make things more competitive. I don't know. You had no LeBron. You had some of the other stars that obviously sat out last minute due to injuries or getting banged up here and there. I don't really know what they could do. I just think stick to the original format. Stop trying to tinker with everything. I wish I had the answer, but this ain't it.
Well, I guess the next thing I'd try would be copying somewhat of the NHL thing and go internationals against the U.S.
versus U.S. And that's been talked about. I know my players would be all for that. One question was, well, who would be the bench for the international players? Because you can go through and pretty easily rattle off guys like SGA, Jokic, Luka, a lot of elite level talent in the world. Embiid, if he's healthy,
right?
But then you go beyond that, compared to what a bench could look like for the USA. I think it's pretty lopsided there. But again, I think you see it in the Olympics, just the elevated level of competition and passion for these players. And
shorten the game to 40 minutes. That's all. Shorten the game to 40 minutes.
And do you even do what MLB does, where you sit there and give home court advantage to, if you're not doing West versus East right now, but if you ever went back to that, I think that's something else you could look at as well.
Yeah, there you go. Andy Shipman will solve the world's problems. Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll talk next Friday.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dave.
Have a great weekend. That's our man in Chicago, Andy Schiffman from Priority Sports. He's brought to you by the good folks at Grind City. Gator Patrol, that wonderful tangerine cream sour, Tiger Tail, the different kind of malt liquor. They've got so many good products. They got this beautiful venue, permanent stages going in. You'll see concerts there this summer. Beautiful view of the city landscaping. You'll see the bridges. You really feel like this is a part of Memphis. And the taste, it's all Memphis. Grind City Brewing, a true taste of this wonderful city. We take the break. When we come back, we'll hook up with Corey Glore in New Orleans, Bruce Howard. Well, he's actually in Houston as Rice gets ready to play Tulsa. We'll chat with all of them on the round table in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you are a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe in 2024. We can't wait to serve you.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Benswinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Benswinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Benswinger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit BenswingerGlass.com. Benswinger Glass.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Pay for SEO 233118, MSRP 25320. Telluride SG 596204, MSRP 41060. Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30660. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through KFA. Excludes tax filing license 895 PF with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/2/2025.
It's the Kia President's Day sales event on now at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah. Hey, what's up, Jeff Allen?
Randy, I've got a 2025 Kia K4 LXS for less than $5 a day at $159 a month with class-leading torque and fuel efficiency. 2025 Kia Telluride has front-wheel drive with more power, larger cargo area, and more ground clearance than a Nissan Pathfinder. $398 a month. Plus a 2025 Sportage EX, better overall customer rating than a Toyota RAV4 and longer warranty per Edmunds.com at $279 a month.
All $49.99 to signing 24-month lease. Plus, get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
I'm everything that is alive.
We always end Fridays with the American Athletic Conference Roundtable. Corey Glover, voice of the Tulane Greenway. Bruce Howard of the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. They join us, Bruce, down in Houston to play Rice. That would be tomorrow. Corey is in New Orleans. We join up with them in a minute. It's all brought to you by Southern Security, your home team credit union, the best in the business for the last 75 years. Voted the best the last 6, working on number 7. And if you need cash, you can refinance your auto loan with Southern Security and have no payment for 60 days. Southern Security will pay up to 115% of the current value of your vehicle, and that's for up to 72 months. To find out how to put more cash in your pocket, you can call and actually talk to a human being, a part of their member service team at 901-452-7900, or you can apply on the website southernsecurity.org. Southern Security, your home team credit union, is federally insured by NCUA. So let's bring in the guys, Corey Glover and Bruce Howard, and let's start with this premise. We got a new dark horse for Fort Worth in the Americans' final tournament just outside of Dallas, and that would be Wichita, which has now won 5 in a row. They beat Memphis at home. They just beat FAU on the road. Corey Glover, you buying this is the new team to look for?
I think it's a good buy to make. You know, I'm about to see them Sunday for the first time, and so Tulane catching Wichita at a bad time here. I think we kind of thought Wichita would be kind of in the top half of this league when we started chatting about the basketball season back in November, and they had a good non-conference, stumbled at the very end, and then just could not find their footing at all in the first month of the season. To see them now playing up to the capabilities that I think we kind of thought they might be around in, it's not surprising, even if it's a little bit late in the game. So they're healthier now. They're getting more balanced scoring. Paul Mills, I felt like he was suddenly on the hot seat after a year and a half, and now he's got this team playing as good as anybody in the league right now. So if they can sustain it over the next 3 weeks, then sure, I think you can start putting your proverbial money on maybe the Shockers making a charge here.
Well, it's kind of funny. Justin Hill, who's been their point guard, got hurt, toe injury or something like that, and Bijan Cortez has played magnificently. I don't know what he did last night, but he was really good against the University of Memphis. Bruce Howard is in Houston. They take on Rice tomorrow. The only Saturday game in the league. Kind of weird, but that's the way it is. And Rice figures out ways to lose games at the end. I promise. They do it on a regular basis. But let me ask you your thoughts on Wichita. Is that a team that we should be watching out for now?
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks ago I agreed with Corey that FAU kind of was the dark horse, and now I think you put Wichita squarely on that circle. And Bijan Cortez had another great game last night. So, I mean, yeah, they beating FAU on the road is no mean feat, and obviously beating Memphis at home is tremendous as well. So, yeah, they seem to be a very different team than when they came to Tulsa, and Tulsa really had their way with them. But Tulsa does return the trip at the end of the year. I'm sure it'll be a totally different Shocker team. And by the way, I'm over at Tudor Fieldhouse right now at practice in the northeast corner of the gym, and I'm over at the kinesiology department. So I'm hoping a little bit of that Rice intelligence will wear off or maybe rub off on me right now.
Well, you're in the right department for that. But now, you know how much money it costs to get into Rice? You might have to leave a couple dollars.
You know what? I don't know what it is. What is it, 70 or 80,000, something like that?
Something like that. It is way up there. All right. The Tigers lose at Wichita. It's the last time they've played. They had just beaten Tampa, South Florida in Tampa late Friday night. They got an early Sunday morning game. They go to overtime, lose in overtime. Now, they blew the game at the end, honestly, but they lose in overtime, and they slip from some seed lines from a 4 to a 7 in bracketology. That is awful penal for one loss in overtime on the road, which is now, by the way, a quad 2 loss. It's not even a quad 3 loss. It's amazing. What can the commissioner of the American do to get this league better than it is right now? This is tough. To win all these games in the preseason, and now you're looking at an 8 or 9 if you lose one more, which would be, what would that be, 4 conference games? That seems to be such a penalty just for playing in the league. What can Tim Pernetti do to change that? I start with you, Bruce Howard.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously schedule tougher. But I think the problem is now coaches anymore, when they have 11 new guys every year, they're a little skittish about scheduling tough early on because they want to, figure out what they got. And so I think that becomes a difficult dilemma for a lot of coaches. Hey, I've got 11 new guys. I don't want to play, I don't want to play Michigan, on November 28th. But at the same time, you do need to schedule tougher in order to help with some of those metrics. Now, I think seems like there's a little bias against the American a little bit, but the American still has to go out and prove it. And this year, obviously, Dave, they haven't.
Wichita State actually beat Kansas State. They beat Minnesota. Yeah. They beat St. Louis. It is kind of crazy. Corey, is there that bias, and what would you do to fix it?
I frankly, Bruce took the words right out of my mouth there. I think there needs to be a more concerted effort for the league and as a whole to schedule a little bit more challenging in the non-conference, and whether that means you find another league and you set up one of those challenges that exists right now and try and do something like that. I think it needs to get a little bit more creative. But Bruce is right. I mean, the vast majority of the teams in this league had almost entirely new rosters. And yeah, Memphis did too, but Memphis goes about it in a different way than everyone else kind of has to, with the talent that leaves a lot of these programs now with where the American sits. And so, yeah, you have programs that are worried about a ton of hard things on their schedule, road trips and non-conference, when they're essentially rebuilding the rosters every year. And so I think that the American can get more creative here and encourage teams to try and schedule a little bit more challenging in the non-conference, but you're also going to get pushback until we see a little bit of a different look of what can be done in the transfer portal and where the American sits right now, and essentially being seen as kind of a feeder level to a lot of programs above us.
Yeah, well, Mike's Live made his league about 15 to 20 years ago, changed the way they approached basketball scheduling, and look where the SEC is now. So I think Tim Pernetti has to do something with that, and everybody's got the same issues with the portal now. Just that's a fact. We've got 2 minutes left very quickly. Still to be determined, but if you had a vote today, who would be Coach of the Year? I'll throw out 4 names. Eric Morris at North Texas, Penny Hardaway with the leading team right at the moment, Andy Kennedy, the preseason favorite, or I'm going to throw Paul Mills, who was on a hot seat until 5 games ago. Start with Corey.
Yeah, I mean, I think Penny is the guy right now with the non-conference season that Memphis had and how good they performed in it. Now, if they fall out of winning the regular season championship, maybe then that becomes a little bit of a question. Ross Hodge at North Texas is right there. And, yeah, I'll put a little bit of a flag in for preseason number 11 and 7 freshmen and what Ron Hunter's done, maybe getting this team into a top 4 seed. And so I'll throw that name out there, too.
All right, Bruce?
Yeah, I hate to be boring, but I would agree. Penny Hardaway at this point would be my choice, and Hodge obviously is a close second because just the way they play defense. I mean, they strangled Tulsa a couple of days ago in Denton in the 15-degree cold, and so I mean, I would say those two, and then I think Corey's right as well with his coach. Ron Hunter is just a really, really good coach. Obviously, seems to be a guy that can cobble teams together. Now, it took them a little while. They had some hard losses early, but I think they've done a very good job of recovering, from that. So those would be my kind of semi votes.
I think Ron Hunter's a great coach. I really do, but I have a hard time. 9-4. I guess you could put that in there. I guess I can kind of go with that, but I would have to go North Texas. Or Penny at this point. And frankly, UAB with their poor start and their poor non-conference, I would have a hard time going with that. But they can turn it around here, and if they beat Memphis and win the conference, then I think you do have to throw Andy Kennedy in there. Thanks, as always, guys. Corey Glore, Bruce Howard, we appreciate it. Good luck with your teams this week. We will reconvene next Friday afternoon.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you.
Hey. Thanks, gentlemen.
That's the American Athletic Conference Roundtable, brought to you in part by the Spirit Shop. Yes, the weekend is here. Lots of celebrations, we hope, for all of you. And the place to go for stocking up, that would be the easiest place around. That's the Spirit Shop. The Spirit Shop is right there at the corner of Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar. It's right in the heart of East Memphis. So it's right on that artery where it's just so easy to get to. And you know it because you've seen it before. It's a little log cabin right down from Clark Tower. Can't miss it. Not so little inside. Spatial engineering. That's Eddie Conner. He's a specialist in that regard. He's got more stuff in there, more product in there than you can believe. From valuable bourbon, maybe ask him about Pappy's, to middle of the road, maybe to an up-and-comer. He's got everything you need and the education he will provide to tell you what is the difference in all of them. He'll do the same with up-and-coming wines. Maybe there's a vodka, a new tequila. He's got it all down. He's got great service with that education. He's going to give you the best prices on all the product, and he's open every day. You can't beat the Spirit Shop at Poplar and St. Nick. That'll do it for us. We'll see you bright and early Monday morning. Have a great weekend, everybody.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. $5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside.
just for buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200 to $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FAST25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank.